Hey y'all, Eastern Shore native here today with you. I am in Taylor's Island, Maryland, which is on the lower end of Dorchester County. I am here at the Bethlehem Methodist Episcopal Church. I'm shooting a couple different videos here today. You'll see this current video, I'm going to be documenting the graveyard. It's in two different sections. One's across the road from the church, and then there's one behind the church. That's quite interesting. There's some history to it. We're going to try to cover a little bit of it, what I could find online and whatnot, and I'm going to give you what I know, and then maybe we can learn something together here. Today is the recording of this video is February the 18th. It's right around lunchtime. It's about 35 degrees today. All right. Let me see what we got here. There are several sections with wrought iron fences in them, different family plots. I'm going to start the one right out here by the road. You can see on the front of this, it says Samuel Travers on the front of this gate here. Uh, this is the Samuel Travers family here. Looks like him in the middle there. I see a lot of these smaller stones. A lot of times, what that would basically mean is a lot of them were children, usually, when they would make the stones. They don't really do that as much nowadays. They still, to a point, sometimes you'll see it, but not as much here. I'm trying to get around so you can see what I'm referring to. I did a little walkthrough on here a little while ago, and some of these stones you can't really read. I guess there's the Samuel Travers. I hope the sun is right on us, so I don't know if it's bringing in, but his name was on the front of the gate here, so I assume him to be the patriarch of the family here. There's two or three different sections here that are fenced off. There is a little concrete platform. It's in very bad shape. Got a little tree coming up through it. In my lifetime, I really don't know what that was for. I know at one time here, there's a church across the street where this part of this cemetery is. But there's probably in the 1800s, early 1800s, the original structure was across on this side of the street. I don't know if that's something left over from it or what. I don't know. Whatever it is, it was before my time. I am a local. I live about an hour from here. I've been down here many times. I remember as a young boy coming down here, doing different things, fishing and different things. There was one grave that I spotted back here that I want to bring out. Not that any one's more important than the other, but it just caught my eye. Some things just catch your eye. I noticed this one. I noticed they were really old graves back in this corner. Some of these graves go back to 1700s. This one here had a flag on it. It maybe drawed me back here. The one here with the flag on it, he is a veteran of the War of 1812. That's what that emblem is. I couldn't make out the first name. The last name is Brohan, which is an old Dorchester County name. It's still active today. I just wanted to bring that out here. You can see the woods. It's kind of dead this time of year. Not much going on. It's February, so not many of the trees have leaves or anything. As you can see down here, there is a couple houses nowadays right down the street here. You have to be careful where you walk in this cemetery. A lot of low ground. If you know anything about lower Dorchester County, there's always a lot of low-lying spots, and there's water and things. Even when the ground is dry, it's still kind of spongy. The ground is just different here. It's hard to explain if you've never been down here. I want to go in here. This is you see the wrought iron fence here. This is the Travers family. I just talked about that. I just stepped in a little hole here of some sort. Whole family of Travers. From what I read here, this seemed to be the patriarch right here. Judge Levi D. Travers. You can see the encasings here. You can see they're above the ground here. The water table is so high here. A lot of times they had to do this because it will push them right out of the ground. Family of Travers here. I'm sure everybody here, some of them don't have the Travers last name in here, but from everything that I could find, they were all related somehow in some way. I'll work around here. I'm trying to watch my step here. This is still an active graveyard on this side. That's an old Dorchester County name there. Horseman caught my eye. Whole family of them here. There's a few interesting ones that I spotted along the way. As you can see here, how the ground is. It's just, you got to be careful how you walk here. But the thing about it is, you want to probably, if you're doing something like this, to come down here in the winter, because if you come in the warmer months, the mosquitoes are just awful. They're so bad they will pick you up and carry you away, it seems like. Here's a, doesn't have a fence around it, but you can see there's a, back here in this one corner here, it's kind of in the middle actually. It's a family of Deans. Several of them look like they died in the 30s. There's one that was born in 1839. There's several others. So there's some small ones. There's a small one there. Family of Ruarks here. It's an old Dorchester County name. Keens. When I see all these names, a lot of them come to mind. People that I have actually know that have that last name. I'm sure somehow, some way, they're down the line related. Brannock here. They're a little bit more modern, 1963 and 1957. You can see the contour of the ground here. Some more Horsemans. So working our way through here. Abbott. McLean. Now, I spotted something here. You can see there's a grave right there. You see the marker for that one side, but I don't know if this was a grave or whatnot. I just, no, it seems like a marker of some sort, but it's all pushed up by the trees. So I don't know if anybody ever got actually buried in that area and the trees have taken it over or whatnot. That's a small obelisk type. Let's see if I can read that. Mary Jones, born 1855, died 1882. Wow. Now here's something interesting here. As I said, they buried a lot of these higher up because the water will push them out. You can see this here. Hopefully that camera's picking that up while I'm trying to get out of the way here in my shadow. You can see it's caving in there, part of the grave. And it's also caving in on this end as well. I don't have a flashlight with me, but I can look down in there with the eye. You can see it. I don't know if the camera's picking up, but you can see water down in there. It's just, so you had to be careful where you walk in here. You can see some of how they're buried on top of the ground. The coverings there, the vaults, I should say. And handles, I guess how they got a hold of them. You may ask, if you're not familiar with this type of area, why would they do that? But you'd have to come down here to understand how the ground is above the ground there. You can hear the leaves here. I'm trying to keep the camera off that house there. Don't need that. The family of Smith, another wrought iron fence here. On the front of it, you can't, the gate is pinned back, but on the front of it, it says Dr. B.L. Smith on the front of there. I don't know if that's bringing that out or not. You can see Dr. Smith and his wife here. Dr. Smith was born 1837 and died in 1915. Something that I noticed on a lot of this wrought iron fences here, you can see the like ornaments, the ironwork here. There's a lot of these along the top of these fences on all of them. There's 3 different ones in here. That took a lot of time to do something like that. And amazingly, I look at the top of these wrought iron fences. These little points on top, they're still very sharp, even though they're rusty looking. You'd have to be very careful with that. You see they've got the gates pinned back for access. What we're going to do here is we want to slip over to the graveyard that's just behind the church. Rather interesting. They actually have a plaque out there that kind of gives us a description of what's happening there. So I think you'll find that of interest just as I did. I'm gonna have to cross over here. There's some water here. I don't need any more water in my shoes than I've already got. Wasn't planning on all this. I just got tennis shoes on, so didn't plan out very well enough. You can see the church we're coming up on here, so you kind of know where I'm going here. It is be going right behind, kind of where you can go either side, I guess. But being I'm on this side, we'll just go here. As I say, the mosquitoes would be very bad in the summertime, so you might want to try to tackle this in the colder months, low-lying areas. All right, as you can see, some of this graveyard behind the church. I want to go over to the plaque so you can kind of see what's happening here. All right. This is actually considered a different cemetery, even though it's just across the street and the church building is right there. This one's behind the church. Lane Church Cemetery, originally a church known as the Lane Church, stood near this cemetery. That church was built for the African American community, 1860. It was named after Basil Lane, an African American resident of Taylor's Island, who was recommended to preach the gospel by the members of the Methodist Episcopal Church South in 1867. The earliest gravestone indicates some burials before the Civil War. So we can see what's happening here. This is why it's a separate graveyard, because of that time frame when that was a different time period in American history. It's not like it is now today. So sometimes we want to look at history through the lens of what we consider to be normal then. Well, back then this was considered normal. Right or wrong, I'm not here to debate that. I feel it's wrong, but that's during that period of time, this was the way it was. You can see some lanes here, buried here. Cornish. I'm assuming some of these lanes are probably descendants of the man I just mentioned on the sign. I got to be here. This side seems to be in a little worse shape, so I'm not going to actually do a complete walkthrough on this side. I may come back when the ground dries up more. Like I say, I only have tennis shoes on today, so I wasn't prepared like I thought I was. You can see some of the markers here. Once again, you can see some of the tombs, the vaults, I should say, on top of the ground here, and you can see some of them there. There's one on this far end. Mary F., wife of Samuel F. Cornish, born 1870, died 1910. Let me see here. About 10 years ago, I actually came through and I walked back in there, and it was in very bad shape. They had caved in and things, and with all the water the water we've got lately, it probably has made it much worse. So I may have to come back another day to go back in there more. The ground is much too soft today. Thomas Thompson died 1916, age 74 years. This is the section I'm not going to go over any farther today because there was a lot of them caved in 10 years ago. Looks like there's been a few repairs done, though. It doesn't look as bad as it used to be. It's in much better shape than it was. Somebody's been working on it. You can see all these above the ground here, simply because of the water table here. I see Cornish names back there. I see some Travers. Look like one way in the back says Tillman, if I can see that correctly. There's one back there says Brooks, last name. There's several that are turned the other way. As I say, I'm not going back in there today. I see a few flags back there that tells me a few are in here are veterans. There's one sitting here, a vault. I have no idea why that's sitting there like that. I couldn't tell you. But for right now, this is all I can give you. I'm not going to do that today. As you can see, there's the back of the church right here, so you kind of have an idea where I'm at. All right, guys. That is all I have for you today. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll try to get some more content on. All right, guys. I'll talk to you next video. Bye.